Jonathan, what are the key elements to a compelling opening?
Well, I think the first priority is that you want to keep the reader reading. But there are lots of different kinds of readers with different tastes. So another way of thinking about compelling openings is, how do you get the reader provoked to ask questions? And there are lots of ways that you can do that. You can have a character, perform a piece of dramatic action, and the reader's like, who is that character? Where is this taking place? When is this taking place? And, you're trying to fire the imagination. You're trying to create what John Gardner called a vivid and continuous dream in the reader's imagination. Because with fiction, unlike other art forms, all you have are the words on the page. And so those words have to, strike the reader's imagination in such a way that he or she can dream your story. So that's one aspect of a compelling opening. Another one is to just start to put a story into motion. And one thing that writers often do in the early sentences or early paragraphs of a story is to establish some kind of problem that the character is going to have to deal with. And if that problem gets introduced early and in a compelling way, that's going to, sort of drive a reader onward to find out how things are going to turn out. Yeah.
So if I'm reading an opening of a book or a short story, novella, and I'm not, as a reader, asking questions, is it because the author is sort of rapid fire giving me too much information up front?
That can happen, definitely. You can have, 5 characters introduced in the first paragraph. That can be confusing. Or just giving the reader too much information too quickly without giving the reader a chance to absorb the information that he or she has been given. So yeah, that definitely can happen.
Sure. So if I'm trying to think of, if I were to come up with a character, and am I going to describe the world that the person is in and less so about who they are and their motive? I'm going to kind of string the reader along almost.
Yeah, I mean, there are many, many ways to create a good opening, and you just touched on one of them, setting. I think that it sort of behooves a writer to introduce the reader to some important part of the story. It could be the setting, where does this story take place, and when does this story take place? You can introduce an important relationship. You can introduce an important character. You can introduce a problem that the character has to deal with. But whatever it is, that opening is sort of the beginning of what the story, in some sense, is going to explore. Yeah, openings give you that chance to sort of get to see sort of a glimpse of where this might be going, but the writer probably doesn't want to give too much so that the reader has the feeling of, wanting to continue and discover what's going on.